Hello, this is Saul Luckman. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Conversations on Saul Luckman Uncensored, sponsored by snooze2awaken.com, resources for lucidity. For more information about my work, including a lot of fantastic free content, check out crowrising.com. I'm also on Telegram these days, and I'm sharing daily truth bombs at t.me/Saul Luckman. Today, for the first time on the show, I have the tremendous honor of chatting with my friend and writer, colleague, acclaimed author, Dawn Lester, whose work I enthusiastically encourage you to check out at whatreallymakesyoutill.com. In collaboration with David Parker, Dawn spent more than 10 years investigating the real reasons people become ill, using an unbiased and logical approach that enabled them to follow the evidence with open minds. The results of their investigation are revealed in their what I would call their truly groundbreaking book, What Really Makes You Ill: Why Everything You Thought You Knew About Disease Is Wrong. I've had the pleasure of publishing a number of Dawn's eye-opening articles on my blog. These include links will be forthcoming in the show description: COVID, an overview; the germ theory, a deadly fallacy; antibodies and immunity, dispelling two more myths; there is no new dangerous HIV variant, just more fear-mongering propaganda; and finally, the real tragedy of Tuskegee, or Tuskegee. I don't know how you pronounce that. Thanks so much for joining me today, Dawn. How are you in these absolutely crazy times?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you. Thank you ever so much for inviting me to join you. I mean, you've had some amazing guests, so yeah, I'm honored to be part of this. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I've been following your work from kind of the beginning, and in your book, which came out, correct me if I'm wrong, in 2019, just before the pandemic, was sort of like the first call to arms to those questioning the virus narrative, whether you meant it to be that way. But obviously, you didn't necessarily know there was a pandemic headed our way. But in any case, it was kind of the trumpet going off in some ways for people to perk up to this huge psyop that we've been experiencing.
Yes, I mean, some people say, what a coincidence, or wasn't it fortuitous? But I don't believe in coincidences, and these things are, they happen for a reason. So no, we didn't know what was coming down the pipe, but as soon as we saw what was going on, we thought, oh, hang on a minute, this is, we need to sort of get out there and tell people that it's really based on a complete fallacy. I mean, that's why that article, as you've kindly shared, is called The Germ Theory, a Deadly Fallacy, because it is so, well, it's not that it's wrong, I mean, it's unproven, but the consequences are just awful, and people have been living through the consequences of believing in germs for the past 2 years, and it's done great damage all across the world, everywhere, which is pretty horrifying. So yeah, we're trying to get out there, talk to people, and try and explain to people as much as possible, for those who are prepared to listen and to even to think about it.
Right. I mean, you couldn't choose a more difficult subject to try to change people's minds on. This is really a religion. The mentality and behavior are absolutely cult-like around it. And then there are all of these nefarious, gaslighting, brainwashing, propagandistic aspects to those pushing this narrative out there for control and possibly even more evil purposes.
Yes, I mean, what has amazed me is how difficult it has been to get this message out to people in general. They are so fixed on the idea of these germs. I can understand that it's difficult to suddenly, from being indoctrinated in the, oh, if you sneeze, you'll spread your germs to somebody else. I can understand it takes a while, but some people are just absolutely resistant to it. And it amazes me, mainly because there's so much that's happened in the past 2 years, is so unbelievable, so ridiculous. But it seems to have evaded people. You know, they don't seem to have been able to really engage with the contradictions and you know, to see them for what they are, and really say, you know, to even stop and think, hang on a minute. I mean, you know, even now when in England the so-called mandates, you know, the measures are reducing, and you know, people don't have to wear masks, and yet people still are wearing masks out in the street. I mean, it was never mandatory out in the street. I mean, then they're not, you know, it wasn't mandatory anyway, but it's even out in the street, you know, walking around outside, people, I mean, there are fewer, you know, the numbers are reducing, but still, and I think that's the point. It's the psychological aspect for, you know, when you start doing something for so long, it becomes a habit. And I think that's it. It has become a habit for people, you know, to the same way that when they go out, they pick up their coat, put their coat on, put their shoes on, put their mask on. Unbelievable.